It's a magnificent spring Sunday in Perth on the Swan River, and we're about to head out on Miss Sandalford to Sandalford's Caversham Estate Winery. Miss Sandalford is a shallow draft catamaran, lushly equipped in Orient Express style with plush furnishings to provide a luxury trip to the vineyard for its passengers while they sample the wines of Caversham Estate. As we leave the jetty, we get fine views of Perth's controversial bell tower on the left, and also some great views of the high rise of the CBD. Perth is a very modern city, and much of it's been built in the last 20 or 30 years. Past our hotel, the Savile Park, as we head east up this shallow river which winds right up at the top of the Swan Valley. Much of the foreshore land is fresh land reclaimed by dredging sand from the shallow Swan River. Those light stands in the middle of the picture surround the famous WACA ground, the Western Australian Cricket Association, where so many tests between England and Australia have been fought out. Aquatic sports are very popular in Perth.
Largest gaming floor in Australia. Obviously not now, with the Crown Casino in Melbourne's definitely a lot larger. They use this for a lot of corporate functions, different things like that, larger expos, and you can actually hire out this venue itself. And that puffy shaped thing in the background is the Burswood Dome.
In recent years, townhouses crowding the bank of the river have become a very popular lifestyle alternative for the citizens of Perth, situated so very close to the CBD.
Characteristics as your wine as it matures. So it's got all the different varieties down the left-hand side there, and the different characteristics that come along as they mature. And your last page, of course, is your tasting evaluation, where we're going to be judging our wines. A little bit of a game for everybody, and see if we learned anything this morning through our bit of tasting evaluation. So what we'll do is actually Jodie will come around with a wine that you won't be able to see the bottle. We're actually judging our wine. The first one, the condition and the colour. His category is judged out of 3. The second one, the nose or the bouquet, which is judged out of 7. And the last one is the palate, which is judged out of 10. What we do when we assess our wine, first of all we have to hold our glass, and I don't have any wine in my glass. Okay, now the first category we have to actually assess is the condition and the colour. So first of all, we'll look at the colour. All we have to do when we're assessing this is turn the glass on about a 45-degree angle away from us, and we actually have to hold it up against a neutral surface to get the true colour. So if you want to use one of your serviettes there, or one of the pages of your book, which is a fairly light colour, we'll be able to get a better judgment of the actual colour. Now we normally relate white wine to a straw colour. Now, as I said, this category is judged out of 3, and if wines actually fail this category when they've entered into wine competition, they can no longer take part in the competition. But most wines in this category get 3 out of 3. Find it a bit difficult to sip through your nose. Beautiful aroma first thing in the morning. Now, because our wine actually has been sitting there for a couple of minutes now, some of those aromas tend to be a little bit more subdued. So what we want to do is waken up our wine. Now the best way to do this is to actually put it down onto a flat surface, hold it by the base of the glass itself, and swirl it around. Now what we do when we do this is we actually create a well down the centre of the wine, and we aerate that wine with all the oxygen. Now once you've done that, put the wine back up to your nose, and it should have intensified all those aromas for you. Now comes the fun part. Does anybody want to let me know some of the different aromas that they're smelling? Lime? Yep. Everyone else is a little bit shy. We'll start off with fruit. Basically all it comes down to when you're actually doing your wine tasting or wine appreciation comes down to the fact whether you like the wine or not. So don't feel too bad if you're not getting what somebody else is getting out of the wine.
We paused briefly to welcome a group of Perth's famous black swans alongside. Naturally, they are hoping for a feed, and they try to keep pace with us as we move off. On board, we were living well on tasty Western Australian cheeses, tidbits and savours, all washed down with delightful Sandalford wine. It was certainly the good life. Some fished for a feed, others had a quite relaxed family picnic, while the ducks were just relaxing in this lazy river.
And all the wines we are tasting this morning are out of our premium collection. We do have two ranges of wines, our premium collection and also our element range, which is part of the shirt that I'm wearing today. Now you can keep scoring any of these wines if you wish to, or if you just wish to sit back and relax and enjoy the scenery, you can do that as well. You can see they do have the A-frame trellis system that are attached to the vine. Now this is because these vines are table grapes. So we don't use these when we make our wine, these are only table grapes. Now 90% of the time here in the Swan Valley, if the wineries aren't too far away from the river as such, and you can see this one's pretty much like 3 metres away from the edge of the river, we do have to tend to have a problem with ducks. There's a lot of ducks in the Swan Valley, they actually come up and eat the fruit, so very true. They actually raise the vines up onto the A-frames to try and detract the ducks from eating a lot of the fruit.
And finally, we're there.
Just a bit shorter, Joe. Thanks. Next time we see you, Carl. Thank you very much.
It looked quite lively over there near the tent.
Proprietors Peter and Deborah Prendeville and a talented team of winemakers and viticulturalists produce an extensive variety of premium wines. Sandalford's original vines were first planted at Caversham more than 150 years ago. Today, a wide variety of grapes for Sandalford's wines are sourced from both the Swan Valley and the southwest.
The Caversham property has been developed first and foremost as a premium wine producing facility. We tried to design into the facility an opportunity for the public to see an operating winery firsthand that allowed them to taste premium fruits. Today I think the facility that's here is world class.
Down in the southwest, Sandalford has 800 acres of 30-year-old vines growing a wide variety of grapes. These are particularly suited to premium varietal wines, such as the region's world-renowned Cabernet Sauvignon. Sandalford grows its own grapes in Margaret River, which is renowned for producing premium quality Chardonnay, Verdelho, Semillon, Sauvignon Blanc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Shiraz and Merlot. Sandalford also receives grapes from Mount Barker, Franklin River. Mount Barker is particularly suited to Shiraz, Riesling and Cabernet with distinctly different characteristics from Margaret River.
Mount Barker and Franklin. Each year the new growth produces the fruit that you want for that season. Depending on variety, the crop level will vary per acre from maybe as low as 2 tonnes per acre up to perhaps 8 or 9 tonnes per acre. And we generally try and control our crop levels because we're looking for quality and intensity of flavour. 99% of the fruit is picked by machine at night when it's at its coolest. So in most instances, machine harvesting starts around midnight, goes through till the early hours of the morning. Truck will usually leave the vineyard around 4 in the morning, which means it's in Caversham by about 8 o'clock in the morning. So we've got the fruit basically at its coolest. It's all picked into 1-tonne pallet bins, and then of course it's unloaded and crushed within hopefully minutes of receiving it here. Everything is processed here in Swan Valley at Caversham. Now crushing is really the separation of the stalks from the berries. The beauty of machine harvesting is you get very little stalks. Most of the fruit is shaken off the vines by the machine as whole berries, and just the odd few stalks go through. We can vary the degree of crushing of the berries from virtually whole berries to quite heavily crushed.
Production has increased dramatically in the past 5 years to around 2,000 tonnes per annum.
At Sandalford, of course, we offer quite a range of wines. So we've got a range of wines that comes essentially from the Swan Valley, which is more upfront, they're more immediately approachable, it's short-term cellaring propositions. They're very flavoursome and they're designed to be drunk as young wines, great for a cafe, summer drinking, that sort of thing. And then from the southern regions, the cooler climates, the wines are, in a sense, more serious. They're intended for longer-term cellaring, and they have more precise, intense varietal and regional characteristics. And I guess a good analogy is when you compare warm areas and cold areas. So if you look at, say, the tropical fruits, they're very broad-flavoured, very rich, but they're not precise. They're not sharp, intense, piercing flavours. You go to cool regions, you get things like cherries, plums and so forth, and they're quite precise in their flavour characteristics. Now the same thing happens with grapes. You grow grapes in a warm climate, you get very rich, full, soft, round flavours, but if you want precise, very intense flavours, then you go to the cooler regions.
Today, Sandalford produces 70,000 cases or 840,000 bottles of red and white wines every year at its extensively remodernised Caversham winery. Storage capacity has been increased to well over 1 million litres in stainless steel and over 500,000 litres in French and American oak barrels. Sandalford plans to double production early in the new millennium and currently exports to growing markets throughout the European Union, the United States and Southeast Asia. The continuing pursuit of excellence is evident throughout the entire winemaking process and in Sandalford's desire to give you a complete wine appreciation experience. Both Sandalford's wines and its delightful range of classic dishes can be sampled here at its restaurant in Caversham.
We try to make sure that the food is from our region: marron, asparagus, rabbit, lots of things that perhaps you won't see in other countries, but local produce and all fresh. And if it's not fresh, then it's not here.
Sandalford Wines has achieved a great deal since its first vines were planted in 1840. We're immensely proud of our heritage, and as a purely Western Australian business, we look forward to a dynamic future. All the elements are here to share a unique wine experience. We hope that we've added to your knowledge and appreciation of Sandalford wines, and that you enjoy the tour. Afterwards, please join us in our tasting area and emporium. From the emporium, we can arrange prompt delivery of Sandalford wines worldwide.
At the moment, a 5-year-old Merlot vines. They're the ones that we passed on the way up this morning from the river. This year was actually the first time they underwent machine harvesting. Anything younger than 5 years was actually hand-picked because the vines themselves aren't strong enough. They haven't got the root structure to hold in the ground. If they went through machine harvesting, we'd end up uprooting all our vines and have to replant every year. So this year's the first time that went under machine harvesting. It did very, very well for us. The optimum level fruit that we get off of our wines at the premium age is between 21 years. Then they're all loaded up onto a big truck and brought down here to Caversham, which is where we make all of our wine. Now we do have properties around the state, 23 hectares around the Now all fermentation is, we add a yeast culture to our grape juice. Different winemakers use different yeast cultures. Our winemaker here makes his own, but the one we use is very similar to a brewer's yeast. Now fermentation is a little bit different for red wine and white wine. White wine's normally done over a longer cooler period because it tends to be a little bit more delicate than red wine, and if you treat it a little bit harshly, you'll tend to get your fruit tightening up and you won't get all those flavours coming out that you do want. We use a little bit to evaporation each month. We have to go through and actually top up all of our barrels. That's what the silver canisters down the bottom there are used for. So we do hold some of the base wine back, which is used every month to actually top up all of our barrels.
That's it. Now for some wine tasting.
Actually go to the toilet if you need to. Have a wander around in the cellar at all if you wanted to buy any wine or taste anything else in the cellar itself. As I said, you've got your little tags. If you want to buy anything, show them to the girls behind the counter. Or people, there's a buy in there too. And they'll give you your 10% discount off of that as well, okay?
A very upmarket wine sales shop. Now we're off on a coach to visit the second winery of 3 we plan to visit today.
Can everybody hear me? Yes. So you don't get to get rid of me gas bagging. We normally plan it at the head of all the lines. So this property that we're going past at the moment is actually Horton's smallest property. Their largest is in Moondar Brook, which is about an hour continuing up the road. Looks like there's a fair few bus companies here.
This winery was very much down market compared with Sandalford. The Moss Winery, the second winery stop.
Hey, hey!
That you may have just has to stay on the bus. Okay, and have a good day. Thank you.
Time to move on to Horton's Winery.
This is actually the second oldest vineyard in the Swan Valley. And Horton's run pretty much very similar to Sandalford Winery in the fact that they have all their vineyards scattered around the state and they bring them all up here to make their production.
We were first issued with a souvenir glass each for our wine tasting.
Big trouble. Guys, what do you want to know from me? Do you want to know specifically about the wine? Do you want to know a bit about the property, or a very quick overview? Okay. Most of our operation is getting based in the southwest. We've got our other vineyards, places like Mount Barker, Swan River, Pemberton, Margaret River. Our largest vineyard are now to our north of Ginger. A lot of versatility how we grow different grape varieties. Very hot conditions up here, more suited to white wine production, Chenin Blanc, Verdelho, the two standouts there. Going to your southwest, it's a lot cooler, more conducive to red wine production, Cabernet and Shiraz, the two obvious ones, lesser of Merlot and Shiraz, even less so again of Pinot. If you're looking at the whites, very good Semillon and Chardonnay coming out of Margaret River itself, very good Rieslings and Sauvignon Blancs from Franklin River and Pemberton. Most people know us for this beast here, white Burgundy. I'd like to think that most of you have had 1 or 2 or 7 or 8 or 9. We make about 35 different wines over about 5 major labels, so we have got a large portfolio. A couple of easy drinking reds, Cabernet blend to start, mostly Cabernet, about 30% Shiraz, a little bit of Merlot in there. Cassis, blackcurrant, classic Cabernet flavours for you. A little bit of charry or toasty oak characteristics, okay, but a good everyday drinker. This one, a little bit softer, okay, 2000 vintage again, more ripe plum fruit flavours to it, a bit of vanilla and oak there, a little bit of spice and black pepper in the Shiraz.
Good drinking. We're still sober, but it's time to go.